All right, we're live. What a game.
What a game. I mean, Taylor Corn, Arkansas had nothing to play for, and
Nope.
Alabama obviously needed to win to get the double bye at the SEC tournament. So it was a huge game because if they had lost that game, Alabama likely plays on Thursday, and that makes your path to possibly winning the SEC championship that much more difficult. So it was one of those. Alabama didn't lead to overtime. One of those I never thought they were going to get over the hump, and what a gutsy effort. And I tell you, Alabama's a banged up basketball team that is struggling in some areas, but you got to admire the guts today to pull out that victory.
I can't remember what game it was, but one of the last games that we were at in Tuscaloosa, Nate Oates talked about in his press conference how these wins will, they'll teach you something down the road. I can't remember what game it was, but he referred back to a game. I think he was referring back to the Georgia game. And he said, further down the stretch, you have to figure out how to win games late. And
Oof.
they did it again tonight.
Yeah, senior day. We got good
Today.
video. Yes, it's senior day today. We got Mark Sears. She gets into the game, every shot, everything. And I got a little video of her in the tunnel. You can check that out here on NXRL Live on Twitter if you want to check that out, one of our platforms. And just so people know where I am and why I've got the old school logo on, I'm about to do, wait for it, not one, but two baseball games on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, filling in for Roger Hoover, who's at the women's tournament. And I just filled in as the sideline analyst on the Bama basketball broadcast and ran over here to Coleman Coliseum to do this hit before I do a little baseball. So busy day for me today. But watching that game, Sears was hobbled a little bit, was on the bike coming out of the intermission. He told me he couldn't keep it loose. He was having to stay on the bike and keep stretching it out. He had a little lower left leg there. Heitzel, who hadn't played a whole lot, you remember he missed 4 games with a concussion, was having to go back and get fluids every time he was out of the game. Estrada battling back spasms. So every time he was on the bench in pregame, he had one of those wraps on him with electronics were sort of massaging his back there. Nelson, allergic to fouls. He just gets in foul trouble lately all the time. And nothing would roll around the rim and nothing would fall for this team until late. So I consider it very, very lucky to get out with a win without Rylan Griffin playing today.
I will start pulling some comments from the chat room. NH3425. That game should have had Bama by double digits. Not sure if Bama is trending down or it was just one of those games where it's an ugly win.
But you'd lost 3 of 4, and but against really good competition, right? But that's the kind of competition you're going to play. You get a double bye in Nashville and then in the NCAA tournament. And it's not, they're not playing their best basketball by any stretch of the imagination, not at all. But there is something to be said to get that double bye, to get the rest, maybe to have Rylan Griffin back. Bogey's got a leg injury. He's battling. So it's late in the year. And I know in football and basketball and baseball, we always talk about late in the year. It's who's healthy and how beat up you are and everything. But this Bama team is beat up right now. And they needed that win for the double bye first, but also for a little self-confidence, a little momentum going on their road to Nashville next week. McCurry Car and Van Rentals, we appreciate them bringing us our post game today. Little T is down in Auburn. She'll have Auburn coverage post game tonight, pregame and post game on our platforms. I'm in Tuscaloosa, where Alabama has just beat Arkansas. And we'd love your comments. But as you're here on any of our platforms, whether you're on Twitter, YouTube, or whatever, at Next Round Live, give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We'll be doing this all next week in Nashville as well. But thank you to McCurry Car Van Rentals, locations everywhere from Tuscaloosa, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville to Meridian. They have been with us all basketball season, and Little T and I have had a blast doing this.
We have. You got a compliment from Zach Powell. Jim did great on the call. I was not able to listen to it, but I'm sure you did fantastic.
I think I'm a little much for a lot of people, Taylor. You know this. I have a unique sense of humor and a unique personality. I don't know if I fit the school broadcast mold there. I probably made them uncomfortable a couple of times. but I
Yeah.
appreciate the
Well,
opportunity to do it.
I'm sure that played a role in it. But better or worse than the Auburn UNC Asheville broadcast?
Yeah, right, right. I've done 3 school broadcasts this year. I did the play-by-play of Indiana State, Alabama on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, sidelines today for Alabama, and the what is simply known as the triple box for the SEC Network, the Auburn game. And by far, that one is in third place right now with the critics.
Yeah. Yes. Another you did great. Um, let's see. Forget about that 15-15 record coming in. Arkansas is much more talented than that gutsy but ugly win. Yeah, they
I
did
said
not look.
that.
They didn't look bad.
Yeah, I said that pregame, little T, that you look at the record and some really big blowouts. They've let some games get away this year, but everyone knows what that roster is, and those guys, when they put their mind to it, can play really good basketball. I compare it to Alabama and Auburn in football, where there's never a time you're going to play Alabama and Auburn in football and say, that's an easy game, right? You're never going to play
Right.
LSU in football or Georgia right now, no matter what the record is, and say it's an easy game. Arkansas basketball, they've got talent. They've got some 5-star, 4-star guys there. And for whatever reason, and I know there's a lot of discussion out there of why this team has not had great chemistry or in places too good of chemistry. It is just one of those seasons. I think Eric Musselman will look back and say, man, ready for it to be over at some point. They'll go to Nashville. They'll eventually lose the game up there. Their season will be over with. There'll be no NIT, NCAA, but there is some talent on that roster.
This is kind of going back to what you touched on earlier with injuries. We got to get Reitzel and Griffin back in our starting lineup. We were humming when they were both starting, and that's why. I mean, it is a banged up team, to say
Yeah.
the least.
Well, we're
And
Reitzel, Yeah, go ahead.
even the players that are playing, like you said, I mean, obviously I wasn't seeing what was happening inside the arena, but it doesn't seem like the ones that have come back from injury are at full strength yet, which obviously is not great. I mean, obviously good to have them on the court, but not great when it comes to needing them to play more minutes.
Yeah, and with Reitzel, to me, I think it's as much just getting him back to game ready and game shape, getting him ready for playing, 30 minutes a game. So for him, getting his fluids right and everything, I thought that was a very important part of getting Reitzel back into the action today and having him have the opportunity during his timeout to go back off the court into the room and get some, whether it was IVs or just to get a little treatment back there, but to be there every time his number was called, I thought was pretty huge today.
Most SEC coaches despise Oats. Team needs to understand that and bring it to the SEC tournament. Do you agree? I think a lot of fans do.
Yeah,
I don't know about coach wise.
I think that's a fair statement. I don't think Nate Oats is disliked by coaches, but other fans are going to dislike him mainly because, he's won 2 of the last 3 SEC championships and was in the hunt this year to win another one. So, I mean, when you win, people are going to dislike you. That is the American way. If you're a winner,
that's how it goes.
People are going to hate you, right? And Alabama's been winning a lot of basketball, so other fans are they're gonna ride Nate Oats a lot. But the guy wins, and today was a huge win. Getting that double bye, it just says a lot about your season. To when it's over with, okay, you're not the SEC champion. That's Tennessee, but to be in that top 4 and not play until Friday, that's sort of a separation. As coaches say all the time, we're not the smartest people in the world, but we know it's easier to win 3 games to be champions as opposed to 4 in this league. So that was a huge win for Alabama.
And especially with, injuries again, it gives them a little more time to recover, another day before they have to play again for a potential SEC championship in the tournament in Nashville.
Yeah, the key at this point is all about finding your rhythm that you had in January and early February, so that you have that. Not really in Nashville. That's good if it clicks in Nashville, but really after Selection Sunday, wherever you go Thursday or Friday to play that first game, that's when you got to circle back and be playing your best basketball.
I have a question for you. So, oh wait, here I popped this up earlier. Didn't realize that you weren't finished. But where did you get that jacket? We have
This
someone that is wanting one.
this right here, they're not a sponsor, but it's they're a sponsor of Chris Stewart. Where did I get this? It's Mobley and Sons. Mobley and Sons. I would tell
Okay.
you, it is a high quality garment.
All right. So you acquired
So
it today for your
I I,
services.
I got it for the Indiana State Alabama basketball game when
Okay.
I did play by play, and so I just wear it when I'm part of the radio network because it's the only. I put all my Nick Saban show shirts into a box that I want to save forever. So that is in my closet, folded up with mothballs and stuff, so that the moths
Oh.
will never get to them. And one day I may get them framed, but I got several that I wore on the Nick Saban show that have the Alabama logo on it. Other than that, I don't have Alabama logo stuff. I bought to do the broadcast. Got a little rowback on underneath here, and rowback.com, promo code TNR20, TNR20. So I just throw this on anytime I'm on the network. If I do any more baseball later on, I'm gonna have to go to something short sleeves because this is probably the last day I can do long sleeves.
Okay. Do you think that Alabama's overachieved given what was expected of them before the season?
That's a great question. Yes, I will go yes, but then it got to be so good at one point that then I became disappointed that they didn't win the Tennessee game and win the championship. But I do think if you sat there and told me that back before this season started, that Alabama would win 13 SEC games again for the first time back-to-back 13 more wins in the SEC since 1986 and 87, I would have been surprised that they won 13 regular season SEC games. So in a way, they have surpassed my expectations of them. But then at one point, I was like, well, this team's going to win the SEC again. So there is some, yes, they exceeded expectations, but in a way, I felt like they were going to, at one point, I was like, they're the best team in the SEC. And they're not that right now, but maybe they can get back to that when it gets to be tournament time.
They have potential to be, for sure. What needs to happen for Bama to be the number 2 seed? That would be.
I think Tennessee beating Kentucky
Okay,
will
that's
give Alabama the number 2 seed, I believe.
Okay. And then
I have not checked all the scenarios out. I just know Alabama's either going to be the 2 or the 3. And I think if Tennessee beats Kentucky, then I think it would be the Alabama would be the 2 seed.
The 2 seed. Okay, that's Landmine Believer said if Tennessee beats Kentucky, it'll be, or I guess if assuming they both win their first games in Nashville and assuming Auburn wins tonight, it'll be Alabama-Auburn round 3 on Saturday, according to Landmine Believer, which would be a game.
Yep, with the winner going to the SEC championship on Sunday. Got to do some work on Friday first for that to happen. But I think if you look at matchups, Auburn with Janai inside, Florida with those big guys inside, Kentucky with those big guys inside, and then of course Tennessee with some of their size and what Connect can do. Those 4 in Alabama are the 5 best teams. No matter which side of the bracket you're on, you're going to have to go through 2 of them to get to the championship game, right? Possibly, or you're going to have to play 2 of them to be SEC champions. Only good teams after you get to the double bye on Fridays when you get to Nashville. Taylor, just so you know, I got about 3 more minutes. We can do this for about 3 more minutes.
All right. We'll go through as many more comments as we can get to. John G says, I feel like the league has maybe caught on to our unique style this year and adjustment is needed.
Well, I think Mark Sears has been guarded differently recently, and it's going to force everyone else to to step up and make some shots. And that's why it's important with Wrightsell back, Estrada making some shots. Sam Walters has to make some shots. Grant Nelson even outside making some shots. Cosby, if he's in the game, because they're trying to take Sears' outside shot away, and you can only run him off so many screens. And he just is seeing so much more double and brackets now that it's becoming harder and harder for Sears. But he still gets his 20-plus every game, man. You can count on it. Come high or hell or high water.
Okay, we can wrap up on this that you can get to your next sporting event. But this is an interesting stat. Alabama is 9-0 when Latrell Wrightsell scores 10 or more points.
Yeah, that's huge, right? And he was sorely missed in those 4 losses. I mean, those 4 games, those 3 losses. So having him back, I think, is why Nate Oats and a lot of Alabama people are back. Rylan Griffin. Have you heard the scouting report on Rylan? When's he back? 2 weeks? Okay, so maybe 2 weeks with Rylan Griffin. So maybe not in Nashville, maybe not back to the first round of the SEC tournament, second round, depending on how treatment goes, but a little bit more of a serious injury than Alabama fans wanted it to be. So what you saw today is sort of going to be the rotation. Rylan can bring the 3-point shot, and he would be awesome. May not get him until the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, but hopefully treatment goes well and he's back in time for the NCAAs. Over 1,000 of you with us right now. Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Like us, subscribe, and all that. We appreciate you jumping on quickly and doing this post game with us. Taylor, you can keep doing comments and talking to the folks if you want. I just have to do a little prep here and get ready for the first pitch, which is 9 minutes and 42 seconds away.
Yeah, you go learn your stuff and get prepared for whatever you have to do next. I am going to turn my brain to Auburn now.
All right. Thank you, McCurry, Van and Car Rentals, Tuscaloosa, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman, Meridian. They've been with us on the road. They've got the coverage with Taylor the rest of the day down in Auburn. And we'll be back on the air maybe this evening reacting to the Auburn game with Taylor. I'll let her know if I can squeeze into the post game, depending on how well Bama pitches today here at the Joe. But thanks for everybody being with us. Big win for Alabama. Taylor, enjoy your day down in Auburn.
See y'all.